I believe that the fires we're cast upon are the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling where our temples pray as one. I believe in the word of wonder and a kingdom for the saved.
Larry Pollock here with Luke Carroll and Leo Mayrhofer. Today we're going to talk about some off-season training, nutrition protocols, and I was thinking about what I wanted to say on this thing, and there's a lot. We're going to go over a lot of information here today.
Sure.
One thing that occurred to me is the word off-season. I thought about that, and I really don't like that word. I think the word off-season makes it sound like, you're supposed to relax or something, take time off. And I think that's what a lot of people do in the off-season is they take a break. And there is some of that, but the off-season is a time to grow and work. It's not a time to take a break. What I see most people do in the off-season is, well, now I'm not in prep, so I can kind of chill out, party, eat shit. And if you look at the top bodybuilders of all time, they didn't do that. They had maybe a few weeks off after a big competition or whatever, but then they went right back to work. And now you see guys, they're right back in the gym the next day, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to frame in before we get into details here. A lot of the things we're going to discuss does not apply to 99% of the population. In other words, what I'm saying is what works for Luke Carroll will not work for the rest of you because you're not him. And you don't have an iron gut that can digest rocks and gain muscle like that. It's just this reality. So depending on your genetics, depending on your age and where you're at in life, I can tell you because I was that guy. When I was 20 years old, I could eat anything and I could digest practically anything and sleep 4 hours and work in a nightclub all night and go train and grow. Today, there's no way I could pull that shit off. If I did that, I'd be in the hospital.
Yeah.
Actually, I've done that and put myself in the hospital before doing that shit still. So keep in mind that a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about, like some stuff applies to competitive bodybuilders. Some people are not trying to be competitive bodybuilders. They're just, want to get bigger and stronger in the gym. So some of the stuff might not apply to you, but some of the stuff you might be able to use as well.
Most of the stuff, we're going to talk about our different ways that we do stuff, but it's going to be anecdotal to us. It may not work for you, and you may learn something new and try something new that does work for you. So this kind of is just, there's going to be good information here, but maybe not all of it is going to apply specifically to everyone. Because we're going to talk about, like you said, about the way that we do off-cycle, post-cycle, bridging, blasting crews, like whatever each one of our techniques is. We're going to kind of talk about different ways that we like to do those things. So I see a lot of people online talking about blasting and cruising, and that just never did work that great for me. So yeah, a lot of this is just going to be anecdotal. It's going to be good information, but it's going to be applied to our experience, not necessarily just the standard industry, what they're looking at right now for everyone. So where do you want to start, Larry?
Well, I want to talk about genetics, and genetics is a real thing. In other words, like Ronnie Coleman had crazy genetics, and some other people have crazy genetics. And if you don't have the genetics to be a Ronnie Coleman, I don't care how much you eat, train, drugs, whatever you do, you're not going to be a Ronnie Coleman. There's only a handful of people in the world that can do that. With that being said, I believe that most people, including most top bodybuilders, never, ever reach their genetic potential. Because in order to reach your genetic potential, that would mean you did everything right from the get-go. In other words, you never missed a meal, you never missed a training session, you trained properly the whole time from the very beginning, you did the right things, and you didn't miss a beat. And how many people would you think actually do that? I can think of, again, Ronnie Coleman. He was that guy. I don't know anybody. He had the genetics and he had the insane work ethic, and he never missed a meal. And, you know, the other person I could think of is maybe like Nick Walker, except for, you know, he's got some other issues going on.
Yeah, Nick had his ups and downs between like stuff in his personal life, stuff and stuff. So Nick's definitely had his ups and downs, but I don't think anyone ever is going to be perfect. But I mean, definitely, you know, genetics, you know, you can, obviously if there's, everyone has some room for improvement, but I think that most of the top guys like Phil Heath probably was banging at the top of human potential, you know, him and Ronnie and Dorian and stuff. I think they were banging at the top of.
Yeah, I agree that the top elite bodybuilders of all time were there, and they didn't miss a beat.
No, look at Lebroni. Look at Flex Wheeler. There were a lot of guys that were so talented that they could just like not train for 3 months.
Yeah,
and
Chris Cormier
bounce back even harder. I think Chris Cormier was even more consistent than the other two. But it's a very important point to make.
Yeah, but those guys could have easily won Olympia if they did what Ronnie did, but they didn't.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
possibly.
I mean, I don't know if training wise, but everything else, just consistency and food wise, food consistency, sleeping, not going to party, all that kind of stuff. I agree.
Mm-hmm. But that kind of ties into something that you said in the introduction.
Wait, I want to say one thing real quick about genetics, especially when you guys listen to people that have great genetics. Those guys, most of them don't want to admit or just can't see it, or are so convinced about themselves that they're so much better than all the others. They must think very low of us. That they're like, nah, it's my genetics aren't that great. It's like they think it's like all what they do is work so well, and they train so hard, and that's the only reason. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that their genetics are superior when they are clearly superior. And then, you know, they will tell you, oh no, you know, it's going to work, and just do it like me. And like, people don't fall for this crap. You know, I just want to say,
well, from their perspective, they're right because they did it and it did work.
No, they're not right because they say it'll work for everyone.
Yeah. Right, but it in their mind it did, because I mean it worked for me. Why wouldn't it work for you?
Yeah,
but you just if they're looking at people as a whole, there's all shapes and sizes of genetics. You know, some people, like Leo was saying, some people get it really easy to grow and stay lean and have crazy muscle bellies and stuff. And some people have to really work for it. And you know,
I don't have the greatest genetics, right? But I know people that are way worse.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a factor where somebody that has average genetics can pull ahead of somebody that has great genetics, because a lot of times with great genetics, guys just were like, oh, I don't have to, like, look at maybe like a Victor Richards. He'd like never competed because he always got in his head where he had like the craziest genetics. He probably could have been Mr. Olympia, but he just always in his head, didn't want to compete, didn't want to try hard, didn't want to push. And then other people that had poorer genetics than him surpassed him just by saying, like, I can't slip up, I can't take a day off, I can't take a week off my, you know, my eating and my cardio and my stuff, you know. So I think that there's definitely a factor that Leo is talking about where guys with average genetics have a better work ethic that really does benefit them. So I mean, if you get a guy that has crazy work ethic and crazy genetics, like pretty unbeatable. Like look at like a Ronnie Coleman.
And there's also, there's almost the three parts of genetics, but for bodybuilding, there's another important part. Like, so one is making progress, getting bigger, but the other, like for bodybuilding, there's obviously the structural genetic part. Like you can maybe get, there's a lot of people that can get really big, but they still don't have the genetics for bodybuilding actually, because they might have short arms and short legs and high lats or whatever, big waists, all kind of stuff. And then there's also a part where it's about recovery, how fast you recover. And then there's the part like how much like your muscle fiber type and count and what is your ceiling, how big you can get.
Yeah, to get a Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler, Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, to get one of those guys that has all of those things in one go is super rare. I mean, like really the most rare is Ronnie Coleman and then Phil Heath, and then even Levrone and Flex kind of like had a little less maybe work ethic at times because they didn't reach that Mr. Olympia 8 times, 7 times like Ronnie and Phil.
But you have it all. Next year we want to see you win, man.
All right. I'm trying. I wanted to touch back on something that Larry said on the introduction. He said a lot of guys see the off season as a time to just be off their diet, off their cardio, off their whatever. And I think that if you do a prep and then you go straight into an off season and you just don't have any life, I think that you can mentally burn out. So I think that like having, an off season where you do take your foot off the gas a little bit is healthy for you. So you don't just get like where you hate the process. But you definitely have to have like a 95-5 kind of feeling on the off season, where if you want to make real progress, and we see guys that make real progress, is like a Jordan Hutchinson went from barely winning the USAs to being like a show winner. And, and that's just because his work ethic in the off season really pulled him ahead.
Now, do you think that's a mental thing or a physical thing?
I think that's more of a mental thing. I think just, some people, they have careers. They have to work for their living. Maybe they're in the military, maybe they're doing whatever, and they just don't have full time to invest in in like bodybuilding hardcore 12 months out of the year. They maybe do a prep for 8, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and then they can like lock in on that. But then the rest of the time, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in the past, when I've gotten down to my last 4 weeks out, like all my friends just knew that I was just not going to really respond to them out and have even lunch or go out and ride my motorcycle with them or do whatever. And then I kind of just like withdraw, because like a lot of things are just like, well, if I'm not home, I don't feel like prepping my meals to take them with me to go out to watch other people drink or watch other people do whatever. So I just kind of withdraw from like social things a lot when I would get into that last, inside the last 4 weeks.
I want to say it's like really mental, and it's an individual thing, because like for me, I've had times where I've competed and right after the show, like I wasn't very motivated to want to compete right away.
Yeah.
Or maybe I didn't do as well as I wanted to, or whatever the reason was. But I never had a problem training. I to this day, I don't have to get motivated to go train, because I just love training. And I don't have to get psyched up to go do it or anything. I just love training. I've been doing it since I was 13, and it's as natural to me as brushing my teeth. It's not.
I had times
if I have an injury that I have to work around, that's a pain in the ass, because I can't, lift as much as I want or whatever. And that's kind of almost a depressing situation, because I want to train harder and I can't.
Yeah, I've been there.
But for the most part, as long as I'm physically able to, I've been pushing for practically 40 years straight. And I'm still not, I don't I might have a day or something where I didn't sleep good or whatever, but for the most part, I don't have a problem training.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's you just enjoy this lifestyle. Like I see you do it, and you don't do it as like you don't try to prep your meals, you know, whatever. It's just that's how you got to eat something. So you just eat what you're supposed to instead of, you know, some people that don't maybe live the same lifestyle as you or aren't still bodybuilding. Maybe they were great bodybuilders in in their younger years. And then they just like, they didn't even want to go to the gym no more. But you kind of always have had a passion for training, you know, even when you were in prison, you trained all through prison and ate and power lifted and did stuff, you know, so you just are like a lifelong, that's your thing is just staying.
I'm saying that's totally mental. Like for me, I don't have to get motivated to eat good. That's just what I eat. Actually, for my birthday, my girlfriend got me a pizza and chocolate cake. I ate half of the pizza. It was a gluten-free pizza and a piece of chocolate cake. And honestly, I felt like shit after eating that.
Yeah. Well,
that's another thing. I'm not used to eating that stuff.
That's another thing with you is you got your Crohn's. So you can't even eat stuff off program. If you do, like you said just now, eat a chocolate cake, you're probably freaking feeling like shit and shitting your ass all fucking day. So you're like afraid to go eat that stuff because you're like, I don't want to feel bad. So you just stay on program because you don't want to feel bad.
And there's stuff that tastes good to me. Like, honestly, my chicken and rice with vegetables tastes good to me.
Yeah.
I'd rather eat that than the pizza.
Yeah. I mean, all the time people are like, hit me up like, oh, how can you stand to eat diet food? And I go, do you like steak? They're like, yeah. Do you like, rice? Do you like grilled vegetables? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's my diet food. That's what I'm eating.
Recently I bought a Ninja Creamy so I could make that ice cream with the protein powder.
Yeah. That's sick, that stuff.
And I was like, yeah, this is going to be the greatest thing. And, I did it and it was okay. But like, I did it for a couple of weeks and now it's like, the ice cream kind of like, I don't really want it that much.
Not really your thing.
No. Now I'm like, why did I buy that damn machine? I thought like, well, this will be like really cool. I can eat ice cream, but after I ate, ice cream for a few days, even though it was protein ice cream, it was like, it's all right. But
yeah, you just didn't care about it that much.
Didn't care about it that much.
Off topic, but I found because I can't do whey and I also can't do Greek yogurt. I get really nauseous if I do both of those. I can do like milk products. I can do sour cream. I can do cheese. I can do cottage cheese, but I just can't do whey or Greek yogurt. So I found a protein that they use like beef aminos, kind of like beef broth, stuff like that. And it's not quite as high of protein, but that's all they use is just like beef aminos and collagen and stuff like that. And it's like 19 grams per scoop.
Yeah, so but it's collagen.
I've been able to start using that as a different method to get in protein shakes.
But the problem with collagen, it's low in leucine, which is
it's not pure collagen. They just use that somewhat, but I forget all the things. But it seems like it doesn't make me nauseous, so at least I can get in some more nitrogen through that instead of not at all. Because I haven't been able to eat whey at all for probably 10 years.
I had a period where I couldn't do it at all. Mm-hmm. Like I would just shit my brains out if I ate it. But now I found I can have it post-workout. For some reason, post-workout, like right after I trained really hard,
you
I can digest it and it's fine. But any other time, no.
Yeah. You do okay with whey, Leo?
Yeah, totally. Actually, I eat a bunch of whey.
Yeah,
no problem.
I've always said that being able to, I don't base my diets around using protein, but it's really like a cheat code for bodybuilding to use it if you can use it. It can be a really great way to get up your nitrogen, get up your protein intake.
Maybe it's because Blackstone Labs, my super sponsor, makes such good isolate.
There you go. I tried them all, man. I tried all the whey isolates and all this stuff. Every company that heard, they're like, "Oh, try ours. It's super and clean." And I would try it, and literally, like, I've thrown up before. Like, literally, I just drink it, and then like 10 minutes.
No, what
later,
happens is after taking a certain protein for too long, you develop food allergies to it.
Yeah, that's what. What's that guy's name? John Meadows used to. It was John Meadows' doctor. Serrano, Dr. Serrano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did a seminar from him, and he was saying that, like, pretty much if you use whey or any like protein, like for like 60 days straight, you develop a food allergy. So you need to like cycle it, is what he was saying, or change to like a different type of protein, like maybe like a casein based, and then a whey based, and then a whatever.
For years and years and years, I ate egg whites for breakfast every day, like up to 20 egg whites at a time.
Yeah.
And I had no problem. And now I can't eat egg whites at all.
Egg whites was always one. It was a texture thing for me. Like, I can eat scrambled eggs. It's hard for me to eat them. I can eat regular eggs if I eat it like on a.
No, I don't mind the taste of them. I just, if I eat them,
it's not a taste thing. It tastes fine. It's just the texture makes me like gag.
Well, no, I can eat them, but I'm shitting my brains out like right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it sets me off. I just can't eat them.
I had that issue when I was doing liquid egg whites when I would drink them, like the what's that company? Egg Whites International. No, it's a different one. It's it's the one that Brett Swanson is sponsored by.
Muscle Egg.
Muscle Egg. Yeah, I was doing Muscle Egg.
This guy says everyone would use the same protein year after year without developing an allergy, so it's horseshit. Well, maybe you got lucky, because I used protein year after year, and then I did finally develop an allergy to it. So don't think it can't happen.
No, it definitely can happen, but I disagree with the 60-day thing. Dude, I would be so allergic. That's incredible. So, but the thing for me is, if I eat egg whites, I don't have an allergy, not at all, I would say. But if I just put one whole egg in there, it digests so much better. So the egg yolk is not only there for fats, actually the protein in there is better even, but it really helps digest everything. Just try it out. Like, I swear, it's with everyone I know.
What did you put in it, you said?
Just one egg, one whole egg.
Oh, well, I always added a whole egg to my egg whites. I never ate it just straight egg whites.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But even still, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, but that happens. I had Tim.
And by the way, some people
made the same test, and he also had.
Some people, by the way, let me explain something to you. You might have eaten egg whites and protein powder your whole life and never had a problem, but you didn't push it to the extent like some of us did. I was eating every morning for breakfast 20 egg whites with cream of rice and a bunch of other stuff in it. Like this huge bowl. I ate it for like 15 years. I did that before I developed an allergy to it. So it wasn't like I was eating like 4 egg whites and a whole egg. and that could be a problem too. Even eating too much protein, you need protein to grow, but eating too much protein and it can mess up your digestion.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things that they're talking about bringing down the protein a little bit more so you don't get digestive issues, and then just really increasing your calories through maybe like carbohydrates or something like that. One
thing I want to address, since we're on this subject, the biggest challenge for me in bodybuilding has always been eating. And when I was young, I had an appetite and I could just eat. But literally now I have to force feed myself because I'm just not that hungry.
Yeah.
I'm just not that hungry to eat like that much food.
I definitely think that your digestive tract ages as you do. Same with me. I mean, I could just eat like a dog when I was in my 20s. I would literally, sometimes I just needed a meal, so I would do 2 cans of Nellie's chili, and then I would follow that with a protein shake. And that's just like the most dog shit fucking food there is. And I was just like doing that as like one of my meals just because it was cheap and easy, as like on the go. So I mean, like now if I tried to do that, I would just be like fucking living on the toilet. So I think your digestive tract ages, you just ages with you as you get older. I know that is why Flex Lewis retired, because he just couldn't eat the food to push up to open. It's why he
didn't eat the food anymore.
He didn't ever do an open show, and you hear that a lot. So definitely, if you're younger hearing this, push while you're younger while you can. But also, like Larry said, keep your protein like not extreme, so that you don't age your GI tract prematurely, I guess.
I would say cycle your food, just like
True.
steroids.
Yeah.
Cycle it. So don't be like an idiot like me. I'm just a lucky idiot, but I eat the same like all year.
Yeah.
And that's probably not the most intelligent. So I would rather, switch the carb source, switch the vegetables, switch everything around. But I would also make an allergy test right away, because then you don't switch to something that you're allergic or so. And then you start prep and you're like, ooh.
I'll tell you, with my Crohn's, I had to be like really careful about what I ate. And there was a point where all I was eating was chicken and rice. Like literally that's all I could digest without running to the toilet.
Yeah.
And now like I've found foods that I can eat. I can eat cottage cheese with yogurt, no problem. For some reason that doesn't bother me, and doesn't set me off, and actually lowers my blood sugar.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about our the way that we cycle off after a long cycle, or what we do in different ways that we've found that we like to or don't like to come down on our androgens, change up. Like Larry, maybe you can talk about what you did years ago, because I know right now you kind of are just doing steady TRT sort of stuff, but years ago, like when you would blast and cruise or cycle on, cycle off, what would you do?
So you have different situations. Okay, let's say you do a contest prep, like for a national or higher level show, like a real contest prep where you're like pushing gear hard for a while, and really pushing yourself to the limit. I think under those circumstances, it's probably good to take a break. And what I mean a break by like just going off of everything and letting your body clean out. Now, what I used to do was I used to try to take advantage of the rebound thing. And some people still do that because, after you've dieted and you're depleted and all this from doing all that dieting and whatever, then right afterwards, your body is just like sucking up nutrients like nobody's business. And you're able to supposedly make a lot of gains.
I don't know how much.
Let me finish what I was going to say.
All right.
So I actually competed like 3 contests in a row one year, and did pretty well. And I decided after my last show that I was going to take a break and do a rebound. And I think on my last show, I competed around 220 or 225, something like that. And I intentionally pushed food as hard as I could right after the show because I wanted to gain as much weight as I could. And I pushed myself to 270 pounds, which is the first and only time in my life I was able to reach 270 pounds. But I can tell you right now, it was 270 pounds of water and just nothing. Yeah. Because I got that. I went from 225, somewhere around there, to 270 in like 2 weeks. And I wasn't any stronger in the gym. I felt like a bloated mess.
Yeah.
And I was only able to hold it for about maybe a week and a half. And then my body just wouldn't hold that water anymore. It just came off of me.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really work.
So that's
that
what I
was
was gonna allude to. Like people put so much into this like post show rebound, and I think like they're like bragging about all this weight and all this crazy stuff, and I think all you're really rebounding is fat and water. I think that you're kind of better off just what they're calling it like reverse dieting now, where you just kind of add in some calories, because you don't want to be 4 or 5% body fat. You want to kind of stick around 10, but also the big thing to kind of like maintain is your insulin sensitivity. So like going off the rails and just crushing 8,000 10,000 calories a day and just gaining a bunch of fucking bloat and water and fat, you kind of ruin your ability to grow through an off season when you do that. So I think kind of just like coming back up on a maintenance, or like letting your body fat kind of slowly get back up, is probably a better way to do it than just like trying to go hard. So, I mean, I'm still probably going to do somewhat of a rebound if I, compete again, where I try to do, like we said, put in some kind of more wet anabolic, kind of go into like a more grow phase. But I think that maybe 4 weeks of that, 6 weeks of that, and then just go into like a completely off, because probably will have done, a couple shows in a row, have been on trenbolone, have been on, higher androgens and pretty suppressed. So it'll just be nice to take a break from doing daily injections and doing all that stuff. So that's kind of like what I would do in that scenario, like you were saying. I think that's the healthier way.
honestly, I think that, what you're gaining after the show, if you lost muscle during the prep because you were dieting too hard or whatever, then you're just regaining some of that old muscle, which is going to come back anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of what you're really gaining is just water and bloat,
Mm-hmm.
because your body can only put on muscle at a certain rate. So if you blow up 30 or 40 pounds, how much of that do you think is really muscle? Probably 2 ounces.
Probably.
So I think it really depends. I think your body wants to put on fat after 100%. That's just evolution. You're like underfed, you overfeed, your body's like, oh yeah,
Store it.
I need that storage. But I think if you have good genetics and you go into the right amount of surplus, like a little bit, then you can really benefit from it. And for example, someone like Joe Palacios, like the way he blows up every time after the contest, he always takes a little rebound with him, and he puts on so much weight, and therefore very little body fat. It's kind of wild. So
his growth has been really linear the last 5 years.
Yeah, maybe it's also just very
Yeah, but like you said, he's not putting on a bunch of body fat, and he's not putting on a shit ton of water either. You can still see his abs.
Yeah, but so that means he puts on a lot of muscle, and that is from the rebound. So I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think it's actual contractile tissue though. He's putting on some, but I think it's just a lot of stored glycogen and sarcoplasm.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I bet that he's, he kind of gets a little bit deflated on his fullness, and then that fullness is just as like really what's coming back and making it look like he's probably even like way bigger, just because like he just loads 10 pounds of carbohydrates in his muscles.
Okay, so he was, I think he competed around 239, 237
at the cow. You're saying?
No, this year.
No. Oh, really? He looked bigger than that.
Yeah, I think he maybe 240 something.
I thought he was like 250.
No, and I don't know. A few weeks ago, he was 287 or 290.
Wow. Yeah.
And he said on my podcast, he did it before, and he always loves using D-ball after, which obviously gives you a shit ton of water.
Bunch of water.
It depends. Well, like some people actually not that much. Depends on your conversion, but yeah. So for him, it works. Like I think it's overrated. I think that's true.
The post rebounds overrated. I would agree
Yeah,
with that.
it's overrated, but it's not non-existent.
Mhm.
No, I think you can make some gains for sure. But blowing up 30 or 40 pounds, I think you're just putting up 30 or 40 pounds of bullshit.
So I'll give a story. When I in 2017, it was the first time I did the USAs. So at the Cal, they're 8 weeks apart between Cal and USA. So I won the overall at the Cal. This was 2017. And then the next couple days, I just went off the rails on eating. Like, I think I weighed in at maybe like 232 or something like that. And I just blew up to like 245, 246, something like that. And I just ate everything for like 3 days. And then I had a hard time getting it back off the next 8 weeks. Like, I had to like basically just like start prep over because I like accumulated so much fat. I mean, I was probably eating like 8,000 calories a day for like a week. And then like, obviously, it's like what, 3,500 calories per pound of fat. And I had to like kind of start over. And then I basically got back to my condition that I was at the USAs over that like next 8 weeks, which was like, it was okay condition, but my structure helped me a lot in getting like a top 5 call out. But if I had just like not done that, I probably would have gotten my card at USAs instead. So
now there's one thing that I did, and I'll reference the Casey Viator Nautilus experiment, where he supposedly gained like 60 pounds of muscle in 60 days or something like that, some ridiculous thing. So, but keep in mind, he went from working in the oil fields and not lifting weights for God knows how long and eating hardly anything.
But he probably regained a lot of his muscle, right?
Right.
He had been heavier. So this is like not a fresh, it's a regain.
And I did the same thing one year where I super over dieted all the way down from like 240 down to 198. I was super depleted, just emaciated, flat, stringy. And then I slowly went into the next show, which was 3 months later. And I competed around 215, and I was in decent condition at 215, but still not quite at full. And then 3 months later, I did the last show of the year, which was the Excalibur, and I was 225 in condition.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally, in that 6 month period, I put on at least 25 pounds of actual muscle, but that wasn't new muscle. This is muscle that I had prior to starting the prep that I lost because I over dieted. And then I put back on the muscle that I had lost, and I stayed lean the whole time.
Leo did much the same thing. Leo, why don't you talk about your kind of going down off competing? And then I don't know, I don't want to speak for you on the specifics, but I know you like kind of went to cycling for a while and then you kind of went back into bodybuilding. So
yeah, I mean, what did I do? I almost stopped cold turkey. I took like 3 or 4 shots of HCG, and I wanted to stop cold turkey because, some metabolites are in your body for so long, and I wanted to compete in bike riding again then after a year. So I took all kinds of, Shilajit, all kinds of stuff to regain my natural testosterone. And, but, I felt pretty good actually. So that was kind of wild. And then, then I was super, super lean, pretty lean, 180, maybe something like that, 180 pounds. And then I got back into bodybuilding. And then I obviously tried to not train, like when you haven't trained for so long, or not really, right? You like every stimulus is kind of a growth stimulus.
novel. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to train high frequently and just very little, because I'm like, and way lower weights than I knew I could already handle. Because, Like if my body's used to 0 bench press, why should I get my body like 220?
Yeah.
You know, if I could just do 135 and be sore as hell and obviously gain from it, right? So I moved up slowly, high frequent training, and I tried to really eat, almost maintain, and it's a little over because your body has this memory and the cells are still there, I think, the satellite cells and all that. And I think they just have to almost fill out again. And so for example, there was this Asian guy who has like these huge quads. I mean, like every Asian guy, but he tore his quads in like February or so, and they're huge, right? And in August they were back. Like what? Like, and that's like, you know how much flesh that is, man. Like you lose, like you like, and it's torn. So first, it's not 6 months. So it's like torn, and then you atrophy and atrophy and atrophy, and then it's kind of like 4 months or something, and you gain everything back. Or like, did you see that was the craziest thing? Crizzo's arm, he tore his bicep last year around this time, something like that, and his arm was nothing. It atrophied like snap, boom, gone, because it wasn't a sling and he couldn't do anything. And dude, like 2 months later, was back. Is that crazy?
Another guy that did that, I kind of did similar because I got in an accident and then I ruptured. But another guy that did that was John De La Rosa. He ruptured his bicep, had it fixed in like June of, I want to say like 2023, and then in July of 2024 he won the Tampa Pro. So 13 months, and he was like winning. He was already back winning a show in 13 months.
Well, I don't know if you guys know about the craziest one of all time was probably Branch Warren ripping his quads.
I remember when he did his tricep, he fell off that horse, and he
tore his quads.
Okay.
He tore his quads like off the bone. Had to have surgery to reattach. And 6 months later, he won the Arnold Classic.
Yeah. I don't even think it was 6 months. I think it was like 4. It was something crazy.
Wait. Who won the Arnold Classic?
Branch Warren tore his quads, literally tore them to where he had to have surgery to surgically reattach his quads. And just a few months later, he wins the Arnold Classic.
Yeah. I think he fell off a horse, right? On his ranch.
Yeah, he fell off a horse. It was on video.
Yeah, but that was the one he tore his quads. He was just walking on some icy pavement on a ramp, and he slipped and fell. And
I think the same happened to Marcus Rule. That's how Marcus Rule tore his quad too, I think. That's how
Evan Senapani tore his quad also.
Hey guys, by the way, I don't know if I told you, I got my driver's license.
Nice. Finally.
Dude, I looked it up, and only 49% passed both tests right away.
Really?
Yep.
They have driver's ed as like a high school thing in the United States. So
it's not that easy, man.
It's
like
not
the driver's test, the online practice, the practice tests online.
Yeah.
Super easy. And then you get like the wildest questions with like how many feet, and there's like 400, 300, 500. Like what? Like commercial cars.
What about the behind the wheel test? How was that one?
That was funny because I right away like snobby snob. Then I got a Tesla, right? So Teslas have this regenerative braking. So you barely have to use your brakes driving a Tesla, because when you go off the gas, it slows down. Yeah. So you're always on the gas a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I'm like going in, and the instructor's like, "You got a Tesla, right? Yeah, you have to turn off the regenerative braking. You have to brake traditionally." So I'm like, okay. I mean, I've done that 4 years ago when I practiced 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was okay. He let me drive through some quiet, like slow areas, and then there was a school zone, so I could have effed up, you know.
Yeah.
And you just have to like always use a turn signal, look even more often than you would, everywhere.
I do that anyways because I drive a big truck, and like a lot of times I can't see people, so I like check. I'm like so used to checking anyways because I don't want to like turn into somebody. But when I did my my behind the wheel on my motorcycle test, I failed it the first time because I did it on my Harley, and they have this like it looks like a sucker. Like it goes up. It's got two lines, and it goes up, and then it goes around, and then it comes down. And they wanted me to like slalom up the cones and then go around it twice while keeping my front wheel in the between the two lines, and then like come back down. And like I think I did pretty good, but my peg touched one of the cones. That was it. So on my Harley. So then I like went to my buddy had like a shop, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we have like a Kawasaki like 250 that we just rent to people for like $50 a day, and it's literally like riding a dirt bike. It's like it was like so easy." Yeah. So I went and took it on that the next like week, and then I passed it like super easy. But it was kind of hard.
How much did you have to pay on top? Like $7? Like how much? Or 22 again? Or
man, it's been like 10 years ago. I can't even remember, but yeah, I think I had to pay the full thing to kind of like do it again or something, like $25 or something like that.
Yeah, I paid $45 total for a driver's license. In Germany, you have to get these mandatory lessons and everything from the instructors. Like I thought it was $1,500, right?
Oh,
about that. So wait, I thought because that's when I grew up, right? When everyone it's my mom says right now it's about 3,000.
Dang.
Fuck.
Especially when you're like a kid. How old can you get your driver's license when you're a kid? Like when you're young?
In Germany, you can drive a year earlier. I think it's like here, but everything is at 18. So at 18, you can drive by yourself, and at 17 with a permit with an adult.
So when I don't know if they changed it. I haven't talked to anyone that's a teenager now, but I grew up in Utah, and you could get your learner's permit at 15 and a half, and then you could get your real license at 16, which now thinking back to that is like, that's fucking crazy. Like I was like reckless at 16 years old. Yeah. Like this to give, like I was driving, like my dad gave me this like 1970s Cadillac, and it was just like a massive iron steel fucking thing with like a 426 motor. And I was just like driving stupid in that thing. I was like, you gave a child a freaking like war machine.
Jay Cutler said he was driving trucks already with 13 over there. That's kind of.
Well, my dad taught me how to drive like on an old Ford F-350 with like a stick, and like it had like a 100-pound clutch in it. I could barely push in the clutch. So he like would let me drive when I was like, 9, 10, 11, just to kind of get me comfortable with like being behind the wheel and doing stuff. Like we had this old like dump road that I would practice on, but yeah, I didn't get like license.
The only thing that is so stupid with a Tesla, when you want to reverse, you have to swipe on the freaking screen.
Oh, really?
It's like why don't you just have a shift like for reversing? Come on, like, but.
What year is your Tesla? It's the newer one, because I think I rented, or I had one when my truck was in the shop, and I think they had
it's brand new. It's 2025.
Okay, yeah. So the new ones are all doing like digital shit and wireless.
But I only drive in chill mode, and chill mode is fast enough. So there's 3 modes: chill, I think standard, and then they call the third one insane.
Jesus.
So he had even wilder names before. I forgot it. But
yeah, there's one that was like ludicrous mode on like
ludicrous, right, yeah. Elon is so funny, man.
I mean,
let's go to ludicrous mode in off season. You know what's funny? I heard the first time I heard that people don't like the term off season, like what Larry said, from the bikini girls, and they call it all improvement season.
Ooh,
and now
provocative.
I don't want to use that term because I feel like a bikini girl saying that. I'm in improvement season. I feel like so I can't use it. I still just say off season, whatever. I'm obviously not off.
We could do a vocabulary episode sometime where we talk about like health phase and like like words that are kind of like now becoming like really used from coaches and stuff that like back in the day that they didn't like really use that much.
Yeah.
But I want to jump back to the how we like run our post cycles and stuff and off season. So pretty much when I'll run cycle, I will run until I stop getting progress. Like I'll kind of change my compounds and keep running, but I run into a wall at some point when I've been like on for so long. It's usually around like the 7 to 9 month mark. And then I'll pretty much go off from there for about 2.5, 3 months. And then I just go back on and kind of like start that process over. So I run that with like, I'll run blood work. And as long as I'm not getting any like crazy kidney, crazy liver, crazy values, I kind of don't really do any, I'll just like change the compounds. I won't like cycle off until I just stop making progress. Like why stop if you're still progressing, like, and there's no bad blood. So like why? I just always kind of went by that. Yeah. And then when I would go off, I like to go off. I don't really like the SERM compounds. I never really liked Clomid. It always made me feel kind of depressed and it messed with my eyesight and stuff. And I never really cared about Nolvadex too much. Nolvadex was better, but like I still kind of didn't really so much because I don't really convert much estrogen. But what I did like is I would run like a pretty good dose of HCG throughout the whole time. And basically that just kind of artificially gets my Leydig cells producing testosterone and making whatever. So I blood tested at that before doing like 1,000 units every other day. And I blood tested at like 900 nanograms per deciliter or whatever of total testosterone. So when I would do that, and then when I would go back on cycle, like I would just grow like crazy. Like, my sex drive wouldn't come down like too far. It would definitely come down from being on, but my sex drive was fine. Like definitely my fullness goes down, but you don't really lose like a terrible amount if you just keep lifting and keep eating. So, and then when you go back on, it's literally just like, it's like you've got newbie gains again. Like you're freaking back where you were.
Enclomiphene?
I've never tried enclomiphene. No, I never did try that one.
But that one is like the beneficial parts of Clomid without the side effects.
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I don't ever plan on not doing some form of either TRT or HCG. So I didn't ever really care about fully cleaning out. I just like to bring my androgens down to a level where they were, somewhat of a normal human. And then talking about
when you
bridging.
When you did the HCG, did you take any testosterone or zero?
Zero. I was going to get to that. So a lot of guys will talk about bridging, and then they bridge, with maybe a low dose compound or maybe a Primo or a Anavar or something like that. And they're bridging their cycle. And I did bridge with like TRT, maybe 200 milligrams. And then when I went back on cycle, I just didn't get the jump that I normally got when I would go off. So I would, shrink down the same amount as if I just took HCG, but I just would not, like, it felt like I just didn't clean out enough to get like that real progress.
Yeah, I always do that. So I always bridge. So I've bridged with like a 250 or 200, whatever. Yeah. But usually I take a little more. To bridge because, dude, and obviously it's also psychological, but health-wise, it doesn't do anything to me. Like if I take 100 more or less, but it just sucks so bad when you lose muscle or like when you work so hard for it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't blast that crazy. So 350 is still like if I get up to, let's say, 1.5 grams, that's still almost 5 times as much. Like if that jump does nothing, I don't know. You know what I mean? So But with 350, I'm psychologically in a state where I'm like, I'm not going to lose anything. And after a show, I'm also like, maybe I could even gain something, you know?
True.
And then I'm like, you know, I could also take some IGF LR3 sometimes that has no negative like health impact or so. So
So
so I would try to kind of, So
Well,
because it's also hard when you train and you're like, you know, you're getting zero ahead, you know?
yeah. For
I've told
sure.
this before, but I had a forced experiment on myself. When I say forced, it was due to circumstances, not because I planned it out.
Mhm.
But I had been pushing hard for years, like several years. And this was when I was at my biggest. I was like close to 250. That was the biggest and strongest I ever was. And then I had to go into TI. And I had to do 14 months there. And I
What's
was
TI?
able to get
Terminal Island
Feds.
prison.
So I was able to get my HRT prescription of testosterone, which was 200 milligrams a week in there.
Yeah.
But that was it. And
Yeah.
I went in there and I was like fully blown up. And I seriously expected, I thought I was just going to lose like all kinds of weight right away. But on that 200 milligrams a week, I actually was able to maintain about 90% of my size and strength all the way up to, I want to say, a year. And at around 12 months, I started to see a slight decline in strength. And then I got out at 14 months. And when I did get out and I went back on a small cycle of just DECA and test a little higher, I just blew up.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I was able to maintain, like I said, about 90% of my size and strength for a whole year on 200 milligrams of testosterone, which surprised me because, you know, I just thought I was going to lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
maybe
didn't.
it is even more about the length of the cruise, and not that you stay on it. So you know what I mean, Luke? Like maybe if you would have cruised, but a little longer, then you also would have exploded again. Who knows?
True. I mean, I'm not against trying it again, but I just kind of, this was like the way that I ended up finding kind of worked well for me after years and years of just
Keep doing
with
it.
cycling stuff.
100%.
I think because a lot of what made me kind of think of this topic was I saw like a thing with Jay Cutler and Dave Palumbo, and he was talking about androgen receptors, this and that. And I was reading the comments, and I guess the kind of consensus now is that like you actually get more androgen receptors the more steroids you use, and that there's other processes that are getting halting your gains, maybe myostatin, maybe you know, I'm not sure what all the like the processes are, and maybe just burnout. You know, you just hit a
No,
wall.
I'll tell you what it is.
Go ahead.
Your body's not functioning optimally after a certain point. Your digestion's
Liver
not as
values,
good.
yeah.
Your liver is stressed. Your kidneys might be stressed.
Digestive
Your system's stressed.
Yeah.
And if it's unhealthy, it just can't process food and grow like before.
Yeah. So definitely like that time off is a good time to, you know, kind of let your joints heal. Cause I mean, maybe if you're pushing extreme weights, you got, you know, getting tendonitis and stuff like that. So, you know, it's good to kind of let things recuperate a little bit, your GI, you know, recuperate your joints and stuff like that. So that's just kind of what I've done.
Well, during that 12 months in TI, they had weights there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say I still pushed weights heavy that whole time.
Yeah.
And
Would
someone
you
asked
call
me
that
what
a cruise? Would you call 200 milligrams a cruise, or would that just be a just TRT?
Yep. I would say that's TRT for most people.
So can you define like what a cruise is? Is a cruise like just like TRT plus, like just like you said,
maybe
like
300, 350.
Okay.
Like everything that's higher, I'm like, well, bro, so a cruise is kind of like the first cycle for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone who's above that is like, bro, now you're kind of like just taking less, but
Yeah, you're still on cycle. You're just.
I would say that's a cycle, you know.
For me, I would say
500
350
tests, you
is
know.
a cycle because, like, I have clients that are beginners that's where I start them at.
I honestly think that a lot of the people going lower on dosages are off and worried about losing muscle. It's a psychological thing more than an actual physical reality.
I think so. I mean, definitely your fullness comes down and maybe you're not as round in your shoulders and your arms aren't as extreme as when you're like fully pushing, but it comes back so fast when you push your androgens back up. It's not like it's like a glycogen loading thing. It's not really like a lost muscle thing.
What did
Someone
you say
asked
with
me
your
what my
clients?
diet was like in prison.
One second, Luke. What did you say with your clients? Their first
What do I say? Like 350 test.
Yeah.
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 What do I say to them?
No. Yeah. I just didn't understand what you said.
Oh, to me, that's like an introductory level cycle. Like it might be considered a bridge as well, but I would consider a bridge a cycle at that point. Like I wouldn't consider it TRT. Like I know some guys are like, yeah, I'm on 300 milligrams TRT. And I'm like, that's like an entry level cycle. That's not TRT.
Yeah. That's the first cycle.
Now I'm starting to see, because I'm starting to get like a lot more blood works and stuff, and guys that are running, I see like 1,1800 on guys that are at 200 or below. I see like pretty high test levels at 200 and 180.
Yeah. There's some
I've
people,
actually,
but they will be very low. They have 900.
Yeah.
So
I've actually done this a few times where I found myself like at a plateau where I just wasn't gaining anything and actually maybe even losing a little bit of strength. And I lowered my dosages and then I start growing again.
Yeah.
And that just told me
that
my body was stressed out from what I was doing.
I've done that a lot of times when guys will send me their cycle. I get 100 DMs a week of people asking me about their cycle and stuff. Guys will send it to me and I'll say like, let's go down to, a lot of times we don't want to come off. So I said, let's just go down to like 200 for, like 8 weeks and then, cycle back on. And they always are like blown away because they were on tons of, test at 1,000, Tren at 350, EQ thrown in there also, and all this stuff. And they weren't growing. And then we bring it back, and then I bring a test down to like 500, and then put in some kind of anabolic at like 350 or 400, like EQ or something like that. And then they're like, "Holy shit, I haven't felt this good in years." So there's definitely something to be said, like you were saying, about getting your taking a break, letting your GI kind of recuperate and stuff. But I haven't noticed so much about what you just said about people just coming down and then making more progress, but it's probably like a toxicity thing. Like if you were running Anadrol or something, and then you pulled it out, then you like.
No, I was just running like Nandrolone and tests at a higher dosage, and I just lowered my dosage and started growing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you were just pushing up to like a toxic level of.
No, I've never gone like. Well, I shouldn't say never. I've tried, but I wasn't running like crazy high dosages. I mean, I went probably from 1,200 down to like 500.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I start growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what it can also be like, okay, in Larry's case, it's definitely not the case, but for your clients or people that you take over. So I just had a client and we parted ways because the guy was not responding, and then he wanted, like, he pays up front for 6 months, and then he doesn't listen, and he doesn't like my advice, and then he wants the money back. I'm like, you paid up front, man. But whatever. So, and I'm like, please reconsider what you're doing. So he's on 250 tests, and he doesn't even look like he wouldn't even place in a natural bodybuilding show. He's just like 41. Right? He doesn't know how to lift at all. I let him send me videos, and I make him a plan with free weights because the guy's just on machines, and that was even terrible for him. So he has to send me the form all the time. He got better, but not really. And then doesn't reply. Then he wants to get on a more gear, wants to up the gear. I'm like, okay, like we can do 500 tests, right? 500 is reasonable, but I told him, like, I want you to train with me too. Training is so underrated, man.
Yeah.
You have to lift right, man. You're not lifting right. And then he comes back and he's on 600 tests, 400 EQ, 150 trend. And he's like, I decided only to train on machines because the tension is better there. It's more equal. I'm like,
sounds optimal.
I'm like, no, you're fucking lazy fuck. I said it in nicer words, but you're a lazy motherfucker that wants a shortcut. So you take more drugs and take the more comfortable route training. I'm like, that's the kind of issue I was like thinking about when the guys come to you. Like, they'll probably like do these shit ass Boston Lloyd Planet fitness training and
100%.
take 3 grams of gear. They go to 200 grams of gear and they start training right. And all of a sudden, whoa, like bodybuilding's not only about freaking pumping, taking juice. Like Larry can tell you a story about training,
Yeah.
Like I had a kid come to me last year. He had some quote prep coach kid that just won like some local show as a coach. And his first cycle ever was like 300 tests or something like that, which is fine. His second cycle was 1,000 tests, 700 tren, and 50 milligrams of Anadrol a day.
That's even more than I've.
What?
That's even more than I've
took that much in my life.
Now hold on a second. This guy, I got his DEXA scan done. His lean body mass was about 130 pounds, and he weighed about 180 pounds. So he was like 40% or whatever, 30% body fat.
Yeah.
The first thing I told him is you need to lower the gear and learn how to train and learn how to eat, because like that's just ridiculous.
The fundamentals, exactly what Leo was saying. If these guys don't know the fundamentals about bodybuilding,
he didn't know how to lift. He didn't know how to lift.
Yeah. They can't squat straight with a Smith machine, man. Like the fuck.
Yeah,
and
he's
then like
on,
one plate aside,
over 2 grams a week.
But fucking trend. But one plate on a Smith machine that you can't move right. But trend. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you loser? Like, seriously. And over 40 doesn't even want to compete. I tell him, dude, rethink your life. What are you doing? You can't even win a natural show and you're running trend and you're over 40. Like, why? Like, what's the point? It's so dumb. And you know what he does? He teaches men how to live. No shit. He has a new program. I'm just like, dude.
Oh man, that guy's a meme.
Anyway. A lot of people look. This particular guy, I trained him in the gym. He was pretty lazy for the most part. Did not know how to train. Did not want to work hard. Eat like shit. And just was hoping that the drugs would do it for him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just straight up that's just lazy, and it's just not going to work.
And you got to see it. You have the weirdest physique because you probably only have shoulders.
No, he had nothing. There was no part on him that was anything. It was just, and that I don't even at my biggest, I wasn't taking that much shit. I don't think I've ever
that much shit ever.
I don't think I've ever taken that much at one time.
That's over 2 grams and 700 tren. That's like the most powerful drugs combined, bro.
Yep.
And it's 700 tren. Oh my god. And he's 130 lean.
Right. I watched a Martin Fitzwater interview the other day, and they asked him, I think Luke saw it too. They asked him what his off-season cycle is. And what did he say? It was 750 test and I don't know, 600 EQ or something like this. And everybody in the comments like, oh, he's lying. I don't think he's lying. If you can't grow on that,
GH he's doing? I can't.
Yeah,
I
he
can't
said
remember.
he was taking like 4 to 6 units.
Oh
a
yeah,
day.
he said. I think he said he takes 6, but he tried to go up to 8 once, and it just like his pumps were too insane. So he said like 4 to 6 was always his best progress. So
Yeah, but people are like, "Oh, he's lying. He's lying." If you're not growing on 750 tests and what about 600 EQ, like there's something else is wrong.
yeah,
It's not the drugs, it's something wrong. Your training is wrong, your eating's wrong, your sleeping's wrong. There's something else is wrong.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Martin grew much last year. When I compare both Olympias, he didn't look really bigger. Not maybe like 2-3 pounds.
I think that's the level he's at. Once you reach kind of getting close to, that far beyond your genetic potential, like every couple pounds of stage weight is a struggle to put on,
Well, he said himself, like he thinks he was at 235 and he thinks he can max out in a couple more years at like 240 or maybe even 245. Yeah. But any more than that, he's going to lose his lines.
Yeah, he's going to blow out his face.
He's just going to get bigger in his weight.
He was up a couple pounds of stage weight, but he was arguably like better conditioned. So I think he probably maybe is up 5 to 6 pounds of actual stage weight, which that's like fairly considerable.
I don't know. Like last year at the Olympia, I don't know if he was better conditioned because he was
remember last year he was like really sweating his first Olympia. He was like just really dumping a lot of sweat.
He was just like both times he was like the most peeled.
Yeah, he was. That's why he got a first call out because he was that peeled last year.
Because like
this last Prague show was his best.
And I think so too. I like from if I compare both Olympias, I like the 24 better, but the Prague was the best.
Yeah.
Someone asked, do bodybuilders max out because they stop getting stronger? Well, you get to a certain point where like, you've reached it. You're already so much weight, and you put on so much size that your body just doesn't want to go further than that.
Yeah, I think that bodybuilders get to a point where they get so strong, and then they're like, "All right, I need to start using contractions more than just moving weight." You go from like being a weightlifter to being a bodybuilder, and then you just start lifting smarter. You start changing up your program where you're lifting smarter instead of doing like extreme weights.
Well, I can tell you,
I deadlift 7 like in the 700s, and then like I don't think that I should. Like I probably get more progress at 5 and 6 plates than I do at 8 plates, 7 plates.
I started training at 13. And by the time I was 20, I was 230 pounds, not contest shape, but solid 230 pounds. And I had probably got to about 80% of my strength at that point. And then I want to say in the next 20 years, I might have put on 5 more pounds of muscle and gained maybe 5% more strength in 20 years. And then it was when I was in like, right when I was like, I think I was 39, 40. That's when I started messing with the gentropin growth hormone and the insulin. And in 3 years, I put on another 15 pounds and went from the 235 to up to 250. In 3 years, after 20 years of like practically staying the same.
So I turned pro, I was 192 on stage. And now I'm like kind of 212 or more. And the year I turned pro, I did my PR on squats till now. So I got weaker and definitely put on like 20 lean pounds or more. So just like saying that there's many factors.
Now, there definitely is a correlation between your size and your strength.
Of course.
And people can argue this all day long, and you can't compare different people because different people have different things going on, different limb lengths, different connectivity to their muscles, and all kinds of other things. But if you yourself get stronger for a certain amount of reps in the same form on an exercise, you're probably going to be bigger.
Probably
in that.
Yeah.
In other words,
It's
if
not,
you're
not across the board, but if you just get more comfortable with carrying that amount of weight, like your body is probably adapting with putting on more muscle.
I have found there is a kind of a phenomenon thing where when you first gain a bunch of weight, you're super uncomfortable. It's hard to breathe. It's hard to walk. It's hard to move.
You're clumsy.
You kind of like
it's like it's like you're like 15 again, like hitting puberty.
Yeah, but then you kind of grow into it and you get used to it, and then you adjust over time, and then it becomes normal to be that size. But it takes a while for that to happen. It's not instant.
First time I was 230, I was like,
yeah.
Another thing Martin said, and I agree with this, is old muscle that's been with you forever, you're probably going to hold on to it a lot easier than what we call new muscle. In other words, he said like his legs, he's been training them so hard and crazy forever that no matter how hard he diets, they're just not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But he will lose his arms and his chest.
If you gain like 10 pounds on a cycle and then you go into a diet phase like that, or like a contest prep, like that 10 pounds you gained in muscle is probably gonna be the first to come back off. But if you gained 10 pounds and maintained it for 5 years, then you're probably gonna maintain that like in your prep.
Yeah, because your body wants to maintain homeostasis, which means it wants to hold on to be the same. And if you've carried that muscle for a period of time, it just gets used to being like that. And I mean a period of time, meaning years, not months, many years. And the longer you've carried it, the easier it is usually to hold on to it until you get older like me. And then now it's a struggle just to hold on to it.
But it doesn't necessarily have to go away just because you diet for a contest. You might as well.
No. But what I'm saying is that new muscle, newer gains are probably going to be the first to go versus muscle that you've been carrying around your whole life.
I'm just saying, like, it's not a given that they have to go, even to a degree. You might.
No, you might maintain it, but it's just kind of a rule.
I know.
A rule of thumb.
So
I'm trying to read through these comments to see if there's any good questions. One person had a decent question. They were asking what your diet was like in prison. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so I actually did try to eat as good as I could in prison. One thing I was fortunate is, a couple of things. When I was in state prison, they were allowed to send you could get a package from your family, and it could weigh up to like 90 pounds every 3 months. And I would just have my mom send me boxes and boxes of tuna fish. And I would just eat that. And when I was in TI, you could buy like tuna fish out of the commissary. And they had tuna fish and mackerel. So I would just buy a lot of that. And then I had a friend that worked in the kitchen, and he would bring me like whole eggs all the time and just whatever fresh meat and stuff. Now, I also ate whatever to some extent, what they served in the cafeteria, which was kind of shit. But I didn't eat the coffee cake and all that bullshit that they serve in there. So I was able to actually get enough protein between the fish and the extra eggs. And that was pretty much it. I did eat those ramen noodles at that point, and I was okay with it. Luckily, my metabolism's really fast, so I never gained body fat anyways.
Probably got bloated.
Probably able to get away with eating a little bit more junk at that point. But one thing I wanted to mention, what works for me is not going to work for other people, because like I have a super fast metabolism. So, Yeah, I do have to eat clean because of my Crohn's, but I don't think I'd gain body fat anyways. But I know some people like they're already carrying around, 30 or 40 pounds of extra body fat. And even if they diet down, the minute they eat any kind of junk, they're going to put it right back on.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of young guys bulking, and their idea of bulking is eating like, just shit food all day long. And they're just getting fat, literally fat. They're not gaining muscle. They're just fat. I saw a kid in the gym the other day. He took his shirt off. He's like 35 pounds overweight. And, he said he's just, eating, all this high calorie crap, In-N-Out burgers and this and that to bulk. And I don't think he's growing muscle from that. I think he's just getting fat from that.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta grab this call real quick. I'll see if I can get back on.
Yep.
So I think it's better to eat clean and eat more clean food than to try to, do something like that. The other thing is, if you eat one In-N-Out burger, you're going to be full for 3 hours because that greasy shit is sitting in your stomach. If you eat some chicken and rice, which is much more nutrients that you can use, you'll probably be hungry again in an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you can eat some more. So eating a bunch of fat stuff is not necessarily going to be productive or help you at all. Anything you want to add to that?
No, someone asked what you're taking right now. And it's funny, like they're a little fighting. One guy said I look like shit, and the other guy's like, no, you're blind. Leo's rock solid. And then this guy's again like Boston Light would beat little Leo in a bodybuilding or classic 100%. Boston Light would beat me in classic. That's the funniest thing ever. Boston Light would probably say himself in classic he would come dead last in every show. He would probably admit that. But it's funny.
Boston didn't. The one time he competed, he didn't look terrible, but he definitely wasn't like anywhere near pro level either.
Yeah, he won. I think the Contra Costa, and I think he won the overall there, and he was all right, but I feel like it wasn't
Boston. Boston had good condition and good legs.
I think Dave Palumbo
decent back. He had zero chest, and his arms were oil.
A lot of oil.
So
yeah.
it was really not a great physique. Like he would not have turned pro with that, even though like some people are like super convinced about it. But there was just too much missing. But it's funny that his legs were so good because he was training so unintense, let's say.
Yeah, he would.
It was
train
all about drugs and food. That was everything. He's like training.
He did not like training.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He did not like to train. He trained like a little wuss.
I never trained with him. You probably trained it with him, Larry, right? Because you knew.
Well, I saw him train, and he just lifts really light weights and puts around. He no intensity at all.
Yeah,
he just did not like training.
I don't get it. Training is so awesome.
All right, I got a couple minutes left. So if there's anything you want to say,
you have a guest star. He can't bulk up for shits. He must have my genetics. He's such a small cat.
But I think the main thing is like in your off season, that's your growing time, and that should be the time where it should be just like a contest prep. But instead of dieting, you're just working hard to gain muscle.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
why
time
I like to.
It's not time to take a break.
That's why I like to, when I go into off season, already set a date for the next show, or even pick a show. So even if it's 12 months out, like, oh, I'll do next year's New York Pro, whatever. So I'm already in that mode that I have a deadline and where I'm working towards. Because for motivational purposes, it's always good. Like, even if your prep is kind of like 12 months, you'll be like, okay, I'm working for this. So I think that's always a good thing.
All right. I think we covered quite a bit today. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments and any more comments you want us to answer next week. If you have any specific topics you want us to talk about, you can message us on Instagram. And also, Black Friday is coming up next week. We'll have sales. You can go to undergroundperformancegym.com, sales on HD muscle supplements and other things. And Leo's got some awesome blood test kits, which Luke and I just both ordered.
Yeah, Rhythm Health Leo 25. You guys should get it. Got to get his commissions up. So I'm super stoked. Monthly testing. It's like probably comes out to like $98 per month, but super helpful. I mean, it tests estrogen, progesterone, SHBG. They're getting cystatin C, T3, thyroid stimulating hormone. So I'm stoked.
And they're adding PSA and GGT,
C-reactive protein. So yeah, definitely
is in there. Very rare, very important number.
And it's easy. You just do it from your house, plug it on. It takes 10, 15 minutes. You could call an Uber. They come pick it up from you. It
took you that long?
No reason not to. What's that?
It took you that long?
Yeah, you got to put that thing on there for 4 minutes, and then it takes like another
the warming thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like 10, 15 minutes total by the time you like start to finish.
Yeah, I'm way faster. Like the blood comes out of me right away.
It took maybe 5 minutes. I just started dripping. I was just chilling.
Really?
So it took maybe a minute to get started, and then that thing just filled up. Took about a minute, or took about like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
I think maybe soon they're going to send out 2 if you want more numbers.
Yeah. The only thing I hope they get is the hemoglobin A1C is the one big one I would like for them to add. But beyond that, yeah, I'm pretty excited about the tests that they do have. So
yeah.
Anyway, all right. Later, guys.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Boom.
I believe that the fires were cast upon, on the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling.